Prepper skills. Meet the general. This is Throttle Up Prepper. Prepper skills. Meet the general. This is Throttle Up Prepper. I am your host, Jeff. Welcome to the program. Thank you to all of my subscribers, old and new alike, getting excited, pushing 250 now. And for once, I'm not talking about my weight. That's another video for another time. Today, talking about prepper skills, meet the general. Who am I interviewing? Nobody. Don't get excited. I hope it's not false advertising, but I'll explain that in a minute. But I want to talk a little bit about skills in general and things of value. Obviously, as preppers, we think all the time about the goods. You know, we think about, water and food and shelter, oh my, and guns and ammo and, tents and you name it. We think it through and we got it stockpiled. And here's the thing. I think I kind of mentioned it in a fairly recent video. I kind of just floated it out there, but I really want to emphasize it today. The idea that, all the stuff in the world, all of the material stockpiles, bags of rice and beans. I think it's time for another cup of coffee. All the stuff is great. But, you need skills in order to make the supplies you've got worth something. And for those of you, my viewers, who may have physical or other, limitations that the hand of life has dealt you, as it has for me, being legally blind and whatnot, clearly it kind of, in my mind, and this is for you too, even if you're not among that camp, just something to think about in a deeper level. People like me have the added concern of value. What do we offer? What can we offer in a group setting outside of our household, outside of our family, that makes us valuable enough to be taken in and welcomed into a larger group, which in the end will be critical to long-term survival. You may, get by for a time as a lone wolf. You may get by a little bit longer, as a family. But I argue that the more resources you have in terms of human resources, the better. So the group dynamic, we all have skills. You got guys that have military experience and police, law enforcement experience, and people that can farm and raise animals and hunt, and all these skills are valuable. Medical skills, you name it. And when I was assessing a while back, what can I really offer? I'm not going to be the group sniper by any stretch of the imagination. I'll be lucky to well, I don't know. It's just, that's not going to be my role. I'll do what I have to do, but it's not. That's not me. I used to be a good gardener when I was a teenager. Believe it or not, I used to grow some amazing gardens. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's the eyesight thing or what, but my green thumb has gone bad. I can't grow anything to save my life except weeds, apparently, in my yard. So that's where the whole emergency communications thing has come into play for me. And you've seen a number of videos, especially lately, everything from CB radio to ham radio and having a plan along those lines. Well, it occurred to me that, the ham radio technician class license that I had previously, there's your little hint where this is going, was great for local communications, up to maybe 20, 30 miles, a line of sight, dependent on the conditions, dependent on the terrain. depending on other people in my group. It's valuable, much more than like a CB or a walkie-talkie would be. Absolutely. But in the end, especially with North Korea and Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump and the White House, breaking news and all this world events kind of moving us toward that possible scenario that General Austin, I believe he was a general from the Marines, said on a radio interview. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when we are hit by an EMP. So if the military senior leadership is convinced it's going to happen, then I need to have a plan. And how do I fit into that prepper group? Well, it occurred to me I needed to up my skills and up my equipment and learn what it takes to be able to get news from afar. Because when that, not if, but when that EMP hits and knocks out power and the grid is down, are we even going to know what happened? Are we just going to, for a short while anyway, people will just be like, oh man, we lost power. What's going on? And then, wait a minute, my cell phone doesn't work. And wait a minute, I can't get anything. There's no internet, no nothing going on. It won't take too long before the masses are on to what happened. But there's a period, and it's debatable as to how long that period of time will be before that actually happens. I argue that having just completed and successfully so obtained my general class license, hence the Meet the General, yours truly, this past week I achieved that and got an early Christmas present in. I can't use it till Christmas, so it'll be just after Christmas before we can introduce you to the new equipment. But now I have the ability to do long-distance worldwide communications with a little 100-watt radio that I can, I'm going to have it protected from EMP. I'm going to have backup power supplies and antennas and the ability to be able to find out what's going on. People like me, and there's only about 700,000 or so people in this country that are ham radio operators, and about half of those, so only about 350,000 have general class or the extra class, which is the higher end classifications, to be able to do worldwide communications. So a very small percentage of our 330 million plus population are going to know what's going on. So I have been able to, and this isn't a pat me on the back kind of thing. It was difficult. It took a lot of hardcore studying. It only took me 2 weeks to get it. And I'm not the brightest bulb in the chandelier, as I like to say. So I guess the ultimate point is that even somebody like me, even somebody, disabled, I hate that word, but, we'll just throw it out there, that can't drive, that isn't going to be a good marksman, what value can you add? I want to encourage you that if somebody like me can do and study and achieve something like this, to be able to not only provide advanced warning and communications and surveillance. It's not even so much that I want to tell people what's going on where I'm at, as much as to be able to find out what in the world is going on around the world, to be able to use satellites in low Earth orbit, to be able to contact the space station, to be able to listen to transmissions from around the world and know what's happening, and have that little bit extra advanced warning so my group can be extra prepared, I think is an invaluable, very, very valuable skill to have achieved for myself, for my group, and for you to consider doing something. May not be ham radio, may not be communications, but the point is, invest, yes, in supplies, but above and beyond that, always invest in skills, in learning, in education, in preparing yourself to be able to do everything you possibly can do to ensure your survival. And not just that you survive, but that you thrive post-apocalyptic event. You know, speaking of which, this afternoon I'm going to a class all about herbal, medicines and herbal things you can find in your yard and in your neighborhoods where you can, treat all kinds of illnesses and whatnot. So I'm learning to be my own doctor next. What can you do? I'm sure there's something. Listen, please, if you're not already subscribed to this channel, subscribe right now. Give it a like. Share it. Let's go through the roof with helping everyone. The more people we help prepare now, the less threat we have to our own supplies and our own stockpiles later. I'm convinced of that. Are we going to be successful and get everyone to do it? Nope. Not in the least. But the more we can do, the better it'll be for everybody. It's definitely time for all of us to be prepared for whatever comes our way. Until next time, God bless.